Searching the web for the most talented, creative, and intriguing independent authors.
The Emit Blackwell Show, diving into the creative minds of sci-fi, fantasy, horror, and paranormal authors. Their fantasy is our reality. Hello and welcome once again to the Emit Blackwell Show. Thank you so much for listening. On this episode, I will be speaking with author Jeff DeMarco about his first book of his Ruler of Ashes series, Into Armageddon. We will also talk about how his experience in the Army has helped shape his writing, the research he has put into his book, and how he builds his characters. Because we are both from the state of Michigan, I'll be challenging him on his Michigander knowledge in a quiz, so stay tuned for that. So, without any further ado, let's begin. Into Armageddon, Book 1 of the Ruler of the Ashes series, by Jeff DeMarco. The Order, a mysterious and powerful organization, has infiltrated the U.S. government at the highest levels, bent on remaking humanity in its image. Deep in their underground genetics facility, they've created a new race of enhanced humans, among other deadly creatures. As an infant, Erica escaped the facility, but will she be able to escape her fate? In hiding for over 15 years, she's been hunted. Her desire to be free and in peace. Now, the world has changed. A virtual outbreak manufactured by the Order. Human apex predators roam freely. Humanity has bound together in pockets of resistance. The children of the Order have turned on their masters in a race for supremacy, spread across the country, systematically taking over key military installations. Though not entirely human, Erica may hold the key to humanity's survival. Will she run, as she always has? Will she stand, one against many, and risk losing all she holds dear? Her freedom, her family, her very existence. Into Armageddon is the beginning of a dystopian post-apocalyptic world. It includes elements of military fiction, science fiction, hard science, and genetic engineering, but reads like an action-adventure and romance all wrapped up into one pulse-pounding novel that you won't want to put down. It's the first book of the Ruler of Ashes series. Get your copy of Into Armageddon by Jeff DeMarco at Amazon.com. Hi, and we are back here with the author Jeff DeMarco. And hi, Jeff, how you doing out there today?
I am doing fine. To you from the wonderful seclusion of my man cave.
Yeah, best place to be, during something like this. So anyhow, when it comes to your writing, when did you begin even writing?
Oh, goodness, at the tender young age of perhaps 9 years old, writing bad poetry and short stories, which I'm sad to say, some of them were published, and the rest, thankfully, remain lost to history.
Well, that's okay. I'm sure your readers really enjoy it.
Oh, God bless them. Sure. As far as professionally, I really started my writing career once I joined the military. Any military officer, you're naturally going to have to write briefings, standards, orders, white papers, and speeches, things like that, and so forth. And as far as book writing goes, I've made several attempts over the last decade or so to start and complete a full-length novel, but this is my first.
Yeah, so now your book, Into Armageddon, deals with like a mysterious organization called the Order. Did you kind of loosely base this off of like groups like the Illuminati and things like that?
I did, to some extent. There's definitely some crossover and some inspiration with that. What I've read of the Illuminati, their aim is a little bit different, and the Order, it's more so imposition of their brand of morality, fighting a religious war against other religions, atheism, the way that the world is currently going to in its heathen ways, so to speak.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing about the Illuminati. You don't really know what their agenda is. I mean, if anybody's out there and you're listening, if the Illuminati's listening right now, which I'm not sure if they are or not, because if they are, then I'm going to have like some vans pull up by my house. Anyhow,
That'll be exciting.
Yeah, that'll be exciting. Yeah, end the night that way. Yeah. It's just crazy because they do have just a secret agenda, and you never really are clear about it. So really, as an author, you can take it in so many directions,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think the Illuminati in my little world that I have in my head probably could exist apart from the Order, but they would probably be attached some way as opposed to their root, because the Illuminati, their roots are in the Crusades, the Order, their origins. It'll be, come full circle in book 2 and 3 of the series. Their origins are just going to be a little bit different.
Yeah, and I just hope that like the Illuminati are as secretive as we all think they are. Like, for example, it might just be a group of soccer moms. We don't know. But that's okay. Anyhow, so who has inspired you as an author? What is your favorite genre?
My favorite genre... My interests generally are pretty mainstream. I like a good thriller. I obviously love sci-fi. But my favorite author is Dean Koontz. And, I started reading him as a kid and have kind of continued to do so. I like Ayn Rand, just ideologically. And then my favorite indie author is B.V. Larson and his mech series, and I actually reached out to him before I went to publish my self-publish my first novel because he's a very successful indie author, and he gave me some kind words of wisdom.
Yeah, and that's always helpful too, is to reach out to those authors that have already published. I mean, when you started this whole thing, did you expect all the twists and turns that came along with it?
Oh God, no. I was absolutely clueless when I first went in. I first went in trying to do a traditional publishing type of deal, and after getting halfway through my list of queries, I'm just like, forget it. I'll just self-publish and do it the hard way. But yeah, there's so much that goes into marketing specifically, and then obviously writing the book is the fun part.
Yeah, and that's the best focus, is the fun part, I've spoken with book managers and different things like that, and they'll tell you they do a lot of the footwork with a traditional publishing company. They'll go ahead and do a lot of that footwork, and then with those publishing companies where you have to pay into, those companies will require you to pay for most of the publishing, and it can be expensive. I mean, you're talking thousands of dollars just to get your marketing out there and running. I mean, it's crazy how expensive it can be.
Oh, I know. And so some of the things that we're doing with like Wolfpack Authors, if you want a shameless plug here, but if you go on Twitter, #Wolfpack Authors, it's basically everyone is putting sweat equity into the marketing of one another in order to help one another, but it takes up a lot of time.
Oh yeah, it does. It really does. And you have to kind of look where you're putting your time and if it's worth it. And if it is worth it, that's great. It helps everybody. So now back to your book. Your character, Erica, she's part human and she's part genetically modified. So what types of abilities does she have after being genetically modified?
Technically, she's both a transmitter and receiver of electromagnetic frequencies. And as far as like research into what someone who would hypothetically be capable of doing that could do, anything on the full scale from gamma rays to whatever, how EM frequencies are capable of affecting things. So just think in general terms, capable of telekinesis and telepathy. And at risk of being sued, she's very similar to the powers of Jean Grey from
Mm-hmm.
X-Men. That's kind of the best way to put that.
Now you talk about EM frequencies. Is it relatable to like the EMPs, where it could possibly like knock out an entire power grid, or is it something that is a little bit closer to home, where it's only relatable to other people?
Both.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah,
that is really cool.
They're all pretty powerful. So I had to create multiple of them, because you can't just have one person that has these like near godlike capabilities,
Mm-hmm.
and still create that kind of drama and that kind of adversarial relationship that you need people to have.
Uh-huh. So, and then you talk about other creatures in the genetic manipulation lab. Would you care to talk about those characters?
Not to put any spoilers out there, but I did allude in one sentence of the book to nanotechnology.
Mm-hmm.
So that will be incorporated in large part. And then, just the creatures that are created through the virus Crimson Sky.
Mm-hmm.
There's just going to be more of that going into the second book. And what those are, they're basically nightmare creatures. They're just like a general antagonist and obstacle for all of the main characters to overcome.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't want to go the zombie route.
Mm-hmm.
With that. I wanted to go more like genetic mutants.
Yeah, almost like genetic mistakes, like when they were working towards getting to that point of, this superhuman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, into Armageddon, it deals with the beginnings of a post-apocalyptic world. Now, what does your series do differently to add to the post-apocalyptic genre?
Not saying that there's not a similar premise out there, but based on what I've read of the post-apocalyptic genre, which is one of my favorite genres, and I like to read in it quite a bit.
I like it too. It's good.
It seems like people would think that the military would be completely ineffective and overrun by such a threat. But if any military people, we practice chaos every day. So reacting to such a chaotic event, not that it wouldn't be like harrowing or anything like that. I just think that the military would have a stronger presence. So with that, most of my settings, post the actual apocalyptic event happening, are set on military installations. And same thing. One of my other protagonists, Dustin, is a military veteran.
Mm-hmm.
I created actually a number of really flawed yet redeemable characters.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of ride the line between protagonist and antagonist. As far as with their character development, that's really a lot of the focus. Is in one of my themes are the moral choices that they're making while they're conducting themselves in this post-apocalyptic world. So they're either ending up so flawed that they're unredeemable, or they're making the right decisions and doing the right things.
Yeah, and that's another thing, too, with most post-apocalyptic reads, is that you'll see the military has a presence, but it's like the background presence. In your book, you kind of make it a little bit more foreground. So in that way, and that's really good, because honestly, when it comes to the military, like you were saying, they would have more of a presence, and people who were ex-military and no longer in that situation but still had the same mindset as somebody who was in the military would be making the choices based on their previous experiences. That's really an awesome idea.
Yeah. And not that I'm one of them, but I can name at least a dozen vets that have stockpiled weapons and ammo. So
if anything went hit the fan.
I'd just drive right over to their house. So.
Yeah, I think we're pretty much unprepared where I'm at. I think I have like maybe 4 cans of ravioli and 2 packages of ramen noodles, and that's pretty much where we start.
I think I would be good for about a week, and then I'd have to venture out into the wild.
Yep, once those Cheez-Its are gone, that's when the shit's really hit the fan.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? I'm not going to eat the dog.
So now you own and operate a technical writing and editing business too. Well, tell me a little bit about that.
Oh man, I hate to say it's boring. It's not really boring to me, but it's dealing with mostly manufacturing plants, standards, continuous improvement, Six Sigma, safety strategies. As far as the editing part, all these facilities have existing standards, and I sometimes go in and I'll rewrite them for them to meet the current situation if things have changed. And I'm qualified to go in and assess based on various safety and operation standards. This is what needs to happen, and this is how it needs to be rewritten so that all the manufacturing personnel know what they're doing and have a reference for it.
Yeah, no, obviously, that differs dramatically from fiction, but in a way, you kind of go in and you look at the situation, you think about all the bad things that could go wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Does that help your writing as well? Because you have to think about different scenarios all the time when you're writing this post-apocalyptic stuff.
It's funny because I like, for the exact opposite reason that I like fiction, because it's finite. X amount of things could happen. This is how it needs to be written. So I do get a good understanding of function of things. So I know in fiction that this needs to happen after this, after this, after this. So I can kind of pick and choose from that how I want to order a scene, for instance. So.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I mean, it's a really good way to kind of analyze things too, how you put your characters in this situation, then how the heck are you going to get them out? So, that's a good way to think about it. You're quite the family man, I've heard. And you also have some pretty bad dad jokes. Do you care to share a few of those with us?
Oh, goodness, of course. Here's a good one.
All right.
So I'm driving the kids home from daycare. My stepson, I have a stepson, stepdaughter, and then my daughter. So anyway, stepson asks, "Hey, what's for dinner?" And I said, "I think we'll go out for dinner tonight. Maybe go get some oyings." And after a few times of what, he finally said it. And I looked back in the rearview mirror, and my stepdaughter is already kind of chuckling. And finally, he says this, "What's annoying?" And right on cue, she's just like, "You are!" And then I'm, fist pump in the air. I was never prouder of my stepdaughter. Everybody laughs.
That's great. Oh, man, I'm going to have to use that one, too.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
So now...
feel free.
So now you were a U.S. Army Field Artillery officer, okay? And thank you, by the way, for your service. What you guys do out there on the field is unbelievable, okay? Now, has that experience helped you in your fiction writing?
Oh, absolutely. Into Armageddon is actually set on Fort Sill, which is the home of the Field Artillery. Mm-hmm. So I have an intimate knowledge of the post and surrounding area. So much so that I actually had to go through line by line and then basically look it up on the internet to make sure that it's open source, so that I'm not violating any sort of operational security.
Oh yeah.
But definitely in the processes, because I actually have like a doctrinal call for fire that I have written into the book. That I wouldn't know how to do that if I wasn't a field artillery officer, and other tactics and so on and so forth that are fairly doctrinal in the book.
So now, do you plan on making a sequel for Into Armageddon?
Oh yeah, I'm actually about a month out from finishing the first draft of Born of Chaos, Book 2 in the Ruler of Ashes series. So I'm very excited for its completion and getting it all edited out and, sent out for the masses to read.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Now, because you've been writing for a while, okay, but now you just finally published your book. You've gone through the indie publishing process. Is there any advice that you would give a new author that's just starting that web?
I would say, unless you're writing and publishing a memoir, don't be afraid to put your work out there. The worst that anybody is going to tell you is that it's terrible, and even if that's the case, don't listen. Maybe you need to get better, but still, continue writing, continue working at your craft. Everything that you write is both, it's practice.
Mm-hmm.
Read. I actually read as many how to write books as I do fiction. And then find something fulfilling to write that other people want to read.
Mm-hmm.
I don't recommend chasing trends. Historical fiction is hot right now, and that's great. I don't think I would necessarily be fulfilled writing it. Now, granted, I like reading it, but on the other hand, metaphysical science fiction, which to some extent Into Armageddon is, I enjoy writing it, but there's not a huge market for it, so I've incorporated other things, genetic engineering, military, and so forth, into my writing that, I may or may not have otherwise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, thank you very much. I like that advice. It's really good advice. Now, because we're both from the state of Michigan, which is really cool. I mean, I didn't even realize it when I contacted you, and I was like, hey, we're both from Michigan.
Oh, boy.
I tell you, the pride that Michiganders have, it's just so great. But anyhow, so I was thinking, would you like to participate in a Michigan quiz?
Oh, heck yeah.
All right. All right. Here's how it's going to work. I'm going to give you a question, and then you're going to answer the question to your best ability. Some of these might actually have multiple choice, but I'll go ahead and let you know beforehand. So let's begin. Question 1.
Okay.
What is the state stone?
Oh, Cosby stone. That's easy.
Yep. Question 2. What is the state bird?
Huh. I don't know. I'm just going to go with the American answer and say it's a bald eagle. It might not be a bald eagle, but I don't know. Is that right?
Well, it's I want to say it's close, but it's way, way, way off. The Michigan bird is the robin, the American robin.
Get out of here.
Yes, it
I'll
is.
be darned. We actually up in the thumb here. We have a pretty large population of eagles.
Oh yeah, well yeah, we have them all over the states. I saw so many this summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, just in my backyard. I live out in the woods. So.
Oh yeah, they just live out there too.
Oh yeah.
So now, here's the next question. If you wanted a Coca-Cola, what kind of beverage would it be? A pop or a soda?
Oh, a pop.
A pop. All right.
A pop. Yeah.
All right. Now, who is the best team? Michigan or Michigan State?
This is a trick question. My wife is a graduate of the University of Michigan, so I am obligated to say University of Michigan.
Okay. I would have also accepted. I would have also accepted anybody but Ohio State.
Yes, that's correct. Me myself, I was a Wayne State Warrior, or for the anyone older than me, a Wayne State Carter.
All right. So now, what do you call a person from the UP?
A Youper.
A Youper, all right.
They're don't you know?
Don't you know, yeah. Did you ever hear that band, the Youpers?
I have not, but I've heard of their existence. I've never thought to go out and listen to them, though.
Okay, well, here's a plug. Here's a plug for the Youpers, is what it is. It's a group of like 5 guys, 1 girl. They still play to this day, and they still do shows. If you're out there on Spotify, maybe YouTube it. The Youpers are hilarious. They give you a lot of insight on Michigan UP lifestyle. The next question that I have, as far as Michigan lore is concerned, what lives under the Mackinac Bridge?
A troll.
Yes, another one. Good
As
job.
you know, you got your fudgies in the bottom of the state, your
Mhm.
trolls right under the brick, and your Uthers up top.
All right. Yeah. All right. So here's the next one. What is the one place in the state that doesn't allow motorized vehicles?
Mackinac Island.
Yes, another good one. Now, here's
Yeah,
another one that...
I even pronounced it correctly.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Now, here's the next one. What is the one pop that will help with a cold or just about anything when you're sick?
Vernors.
Vernors, yes, it is Vernors.
Vernors. I have a case in the fridge.
It's like sitting right next to the Bud Light, you know, I got you.
That's right, yeah.
All right, so next one. What is the official, unofficial Michigan card game?
Euchre.
Yes, it is euchre.
I thought this test was supposed to be hard.
Well, you know, you're from Michigan, so am I, so it's like we're just kind of like batting back and forth there.
Yeah.
So now here's the next one. What are the 2 seasons in Michigan?
Gear and construction.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. All right. Now, this is a tough one. All right, this is a pretty hard one. I almost got this one wrong.
Okay.
Which Great Lake does not border Michigan?
Ooh. Okay, so I'm right next to Huron. You got Superior, borders Michigan. Michigan. Well, let me think about. You got your homes.
Yeah.
Huron,
Yeah.
Is it Ontario?
Yes, it is Ontario. Lake Ontario does not border Michigan.
Yes.
All right, here's the final question. And anything that you got wrong on this test, we'll forgive. This question is a bonus question which will clear the entire slate. You can get the potential of 2,500, 900 or so 20 billion points. I don't know how much, but it will clear the entire board. I wish it was dollars. Okay, here we go. Name one famous person from the state of Michigan.
Kid Rock, Eminem, Madonna. Insane Clown Posse guys that I don't remember their names.
Yeah, and Tim Allen was from this state. We got so many famous people that came out of the state, especially out of Motown. And so I'm telling you what, you did a very good job on this quiz.
Oh, thank you.
You won against everybody else in the state. Now the Michigan fans are probably upset, but that's okay because they can be upset for another season.
Yes.
All right, so here we go. Thank you so much for being here on the show, Jeff. It was a lot of fun. Yeah,
I had a good time.
And folks out there, just want to remind you to check out Into Armageddon by Jeff DeMarco. It is an amazing book. He's getting ready to write the second one. And go ahead and check it out on Amazon.com. And Jeff, they can also find you on Twitter as well.
Yep, at DeMarco Writer, DeMarco Writer. Also at Wolfpack Authors, one word, WOLFPACKAUTHORS.
All right, and I'll tag those both in our Twitter feed when it comes up.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for being here on the show. I do appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me. Have a wonderful evening.
You too. And this is Emit Blackwell signing out. Keep on reading and keep on writing, my friends.
Searching the web for the most talented, creative, and intriguing independent authors.
The Emit Blackwell Show, diving into the creative minds of sci-fi, fantasy, horror, and paranormal authors. Their fantasy is our reality.